Hi YouTube, this is Evie. Welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you all. This time I am going to be doing a couple of videos that I meant to film back before the end of November, but with how my Thanksgiving schedule worked out, I just kind of ran out of time, and I want to make sure I get to these subjects before I move on to my entire month of December, just about getting involved in the real-life BDSM community and meeting people and all that stuff, because I think that a lot of these topics that I want to cover are tangentially related, and they're important to know about before I actually start to go into those particular topics and those particular videos. The first thing that I want to talk about is kink bashing and vanilla bashing. Now, this is something that mostly happens online, as most forms of bullying do nowadays, but they do exist in real life as well, so you need to be aware of that. But I am mostly going to be talking about how it happens on the internet and why it happens and basically why it's a bad thing and why you shouldn't do it, and how if you do it, I'm going to want to squirt you with a water bottle and tell you that you are a bad kinkster. But kink bashing basically means when somebody is making a derisive comment about somebody else's kink or the way that they do BDSM or their BDSM relationships in a way that is not meant to be helpful or constructive. It's just purely derisive and is purely meant to be an aggressive bullying comment. Now, I do think that if you believe somebody is being unsafe or is not fully aware of the risk of what they're participating in or what they're talking about, I think there is a way to do it that is constructive and healthy and will actually help the other person and will get them to listen to you. But the way to do that is not through aggressive anonymous comments on Tumblr or through aggressive responses to people's posts on Instagram or whatever it is. There's a way to do it that is appropriate, and there's a way to do it that is inappropriate, and kink bashing is the inappropriate way to go about it. Now, in the same way that you wouldn't go up to somebody in the middle of a scene at a play party and tell them that, don't you know you're doing that wrong, when they're just in the middle of a scene, you wouldn't do that when somebody posts about a scene that they've done online or a scene that they want to do online. That is just, it is not okay, and the reason why is when people are participating on Tumblr and Instagram and talking about their kinks, because that community is so narrow in terms of how wide the scope of BDSM really is, there tends to be a lot of norms that are formed about ways to do kink and ways to participate in BDSM relationships and what kinks are and aren't acceptable and appropriate ways to express them or not express them. When in reality, human sexuality is a really, really wide spectrum of different behaviors and different choices and different beliefs, and BDSM in particular does not have one solid rule book that says feces play, never okay, blood play, never okay, permanent scarring, never okay. Like, there are people and there are relationships in which those things are okay, even if to these particular communities or to certain people it's never okay and it's disgusting and it makes them squick. And it's perfectly okay if certain things in BDSM and certain kinks make you squick. That's okay. We all have things that we don't like and that we'd prefer not to see. However, this doesn't necessarily mean that the person who is into it is somehow wrong or deviant, or, okay, they are deviant technically by definition, but not in like a negative connotation. They're not any more deviant than anybody else in kink or anybody else who participates in BDSM. And no matter what personally squicks you out or what personally makes you uncomfortable in BDSM and kink, it is not your job to go up to other people and tell them that what they're doing is wrong, tell them that their relationship is wrong, or that you believe their behaviors are wrong or inappropriate. Again, if you think they're in a dangerous situation, there's a way to handle that, but it's not purely through just shaming them on public comments on Instagram or Tumblr or whatever it happens to be. That is not the way to go about it. Again, it is not your job to police other people and other people's kinks. These people who are participating in it are adults. They are consenting adults. They are either doing something that is safe, sane, and consensual, or they are aware of the risks that they are taking. And it is not up to you to decide if they have fully gone through that process of analyzing the risks or fully processing if what they're doing is safe, sane, and consensual. That is not up to you to decide. It is up to the autonomous person who is actually participating in that scene or participating in that kink to decide, and it is not up to you. You are not in a relationship with that person. You are not going to be pursuing this person for a relationship, obviously, because you're incompatible. So it is not up to you to determine that what they are doing is wrong or bad, because their personal expression of kink, unless they are doing something that is particularly crazy and probably in a real life situation, their personal expression of their kink or their personal expression of their BDSM relationship does in no way affect your personal expression of kink or your personal BDSM relationship. And that is really all there is to it. If somebody is doing something that you don't like, just stop following them, block them. You don't have to look at what they see. You don't need to make nasty comments. If it's something that you don't like, just ignore it. Because they are an autonomous human being, they get to decide for them what is okay and what is not okay, and it is not up for you to deride people and tell them that what they're doing is wrong. And that is really all that I want to say about kink bashing. And I think a more complicated situation is vanilla bashing, which is sort of the second part of this video. It is related because it is basically in the same format. It's making derisive comments about people that are vanilla, or people being told that they're vanilla, or what they're doing is vanilla, or that they're not really kinky. And I think this comes from a slightly different place. It comes more from a gatekeeping perspective, and what I mean by that is, especially when people are newer in kink and they're first getting involved with it and they're trying to learn about it and get involved in the community, and they go through a lot of like trial and struggle to figure out what they like and who they are, and then they see other new people or other people who are just participating in the lifestyle or claiming being in the lifestyle or whatever, and maybe they aren't into the same kind of kinks, or they aren't as, you know, extreme in their BDSM or in their kink as, you know, that other person is, and they believe, oh, well, clearly they're just like a poser, they're just vanilla, oh my god, that person is so vanilla, don't you, like, read any of the real stuff about BDSM? Haven't you read the BDSM rulebook cover to cover? And again, it is really not your place to decide if somebody is vanilla or kinky. Now, of course, there are going to be situations and times that I personally experienced when a kind of kinky person will bring in a bunch of their vanilla friends to like gawk at a play party and like experience it without like explaining anything to them. There is a way to handle that, and there's a way to approach that is healthy and not meant to be argumentative, and it's not considered bullying. And vanilla bashing is not the way to do that. Now, another form of vanilla bashing that I see is just straight up somebody calling somebody else vanilla as like an insult, like, oh my god, that person is so vanilla, or oh my gosh, what you're doing is so vanilla, or clearly you're not kinky, you must really be a vanilla person. Like, just using vanilla as though it were an insult in the same way you might use like any other of a number of swear words. There's nothing wrong with being vanilla. There's nothing wrong with being kinky. There's nothing wrong with however kinky somebody is, be that they only like rabbit fur floggers, or they love having their like master's name like carved in their back with a hot knife. Like, no matter how kinky or unkinky you are, or how vanilla or unvanilla you are, as long as you are making that choice for yourself, it is okay no matter where on the spectrum you fall. And I think it is really kind of sad when kinky people use vanilla as an insult, because as participants in BDSM, as participants in an alternative lifestyle, we are subject to a lot of ridicule and judgment from like the larger culture that's above us. And I think that within the community, it's supposed to be, I hate to use the term safe space, but it is supposed to be a safe space where you can communicate and become friends with and learn about other people who are similar to you and have similar alternative interests. And when you decide that you want to be a gatekeeper, when you decide that being part of the larger culture rather than your specific subculture is like meant to be an insult, you are really taking away from an opportunity to create understanding between the two groups, and you're also, you know, taking away from somebody who may honestly really want to participate in this community but isn't really sure how to express their kinks or at what level they're okay experimenting with certain kinks. We all come from different places in BDSM. We all come from different levels of experience, and for a lot of us, our first introductions, you know, you should take baby steps. You shouldn't just move up to the heavy rubber flogger on the first time you've ever been hit with a flogger before. You want to take baby steps, and maybe for the first couple months that you participate, the only thing you are comfortable with is a rabbit fur flogger. And that's perfectly okay. It doesn't necessarily make that person vanilla or less kinky than you. And really, it doesn't matter in the long run. And vanilla should not be an insult, and being kinky should not be an insult. And really, we just need to stop focusing on insulting each other, and we should instead focusing on, you know, learning, on bettering ourselves, on bettering our own relationships, on experimenting more within our own kinks, and becoming more comfortable with ourselves rather than placing judgment on others. And that is really sort of the takeaway point that I want to have for this video be, as it is in a lot of my videos, is really don't focus on what other people are doing. Don't focus on what labels people are using for themselves. You know, don't focus on how kinky somebody is or how vanilla somebody is. Focus on you. Take that same amount of energy and that same amount of time that you'd be worrying about what other people are doing it and make it about you. Like, you have a very limited amount of time on this earth and on this planet, and I would use that energy instead to like figure out like how to do like your dream scene, figure out how, you know, make your BDSM relationship the way you want it to be, figure out how to take your relationships, your dynamics, the kinks that you love and enjoy, figure out how to take them to that next level, figure out how to become a better person in kink, become more educated, learn more, you know, figure out how to just be as devoted as you can to your dominant if that's what you're into, or figure out how to be the best dominant that you can for your submissive. And that's kind of where I want to end today's video. If you did like this video and you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Of course, leave any questions or comments you have down below, as well as any video suggestions. I am going to be focusing this next couple of weeks on just getting involved in the real life community, so if your question isn't necessarily about that, I probably won't be able to get to it for a little bit, but I do write down everybody's video ideas, so I will get to it eventually, I promise. But until I see you next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.